Look, I love professional football, love professional baseball, but let's talk about these two for just a minute. Because as the season has been going on in Major League Baseball, what we haven't had are fans in the seats. We haven't had any fans in the seats whatsoever in baseball. No, we got a story a little bit about that later, about somebody being ejected for not wearing a mask, right? And that was in the baseball world. But now professional football, they've had a fair amount of fans in the seats. And I would say also in college football, that's another issue we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. But now next week, they're even going to have more fans in the seats. Now, why is it that you have Major League Baseball with nobody in outside venues in the seats, but yet in football, you have a bunch of people in an outside venue and even in domes, by the way? Yes. Why is it that you have this? Why is it allowed? Why is it allowed at all? I don't know. Or is it a Major League Baseball thing versus an NFL thing? The NFL says we're putting revenue over the potential safety of others. But what we are also doing is we're putting money. We're putting the lack of interest in health. We're putting our personal interest ahead of this alleged virus issue with all these alleged illnesses, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got a problem here. It's a real conundrum. I'm not really sure if you follow what I'm saying here, but why is it that it's good for one, it's not good for the other? They always say, well, it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. All right, so we have this issue. Now, the first week of the NFL's regular season offered just a glimpse of the fans in the stands, but most, and those numbers will grow. Now, the Chiefs and Jaguars were the only teams to sell tickets for Week 1 games, with the Chiefs announcing the attendance of 15,895 and the Jaguars at 14,100. Coincidentally, both won their games. Well, you kind of wonder about that home field advantage thing, right? You know, I talked to Jim Fossil last week about it, the former Giants head coach, the New York Football Giants. And he said, well, it doesn't really matter. You know, you don't have to necessarily have fans out there. You just get out there and do your job. I absolutely agree with Jim. But I'm also wondering about the old competitive advantage. I mean, with fans in the building, you think about teams like Seattle with the 12th man, right? That's sort of a big deal. And so on one hand, you could say, well, it doesn't really matter. But on the other hand, you have to say, look, that home field advantage is something. That's why these play the games in their respective parks. Everything's not played at a neutral park, right? So now in Week 2, the Browns will be allowed to have up to 6,000 fans in the stands against the Bengals. Now, that's a very interesting Bengals team. We'll get to that in a minute. The Colts will host 2,500 for their game against the Vikings. Now, that is a dome, so there's the enclosed arena. When we talk about that, because why? The National Hockey League and the NBA are both in indoor arenas in their bubbles, right? So I guess that would be their own contained bubble of sorts. Now, the Dolphins will have up to 13,000 for their home game against the Bills. I guess they need some revenue because this is really a bad team. Moving on. And the Cowboys will have an unspecified number for their home opener against the Falcons. Now, you know Jerry Jones is going to bring people in because, number one, it's revenue. It's a very expensive stadium, a very big payroll, and at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that you can pay your people. And remember, they're missing out on the concession. They're missing out on the hats, T-shirts, the jerseys, all the foam fingers, all that stuff, right? They're missing out on the revenue, being the owners, from that side of it. And they're also missing out on parking. Now, folks, I don't know if you know this, but some of the stadium parking runs up to $200 per car. Yeah, $200 to park your car without even being in the stadium with a ticket. That's unbelievable. $200. You haven't even gotten in the stadium yet, right? And so some people will pay the $200 just to go to the tailgates, right? Never mind the game. We're just going to go out and get hammered, loaded out in the parking lot. But just think about that. And what does the ticket cost? The ticket cost for a family of four to go to a National Football League game, I'm going to guess, is somewhere close to, for a family of four, it's got to be about $1,200 to $1,500. Now I turn to my esteemed engineer and the reluctant sports broadcaster. That would be Sonar. And Sonar, if you took your family of four to a Chicago Bears game, since you're right here in Chicago, could you imagine how much money it would cost you for the wife and the kids?
Oh, man, it's astronomical. Not only the parking and everything else. I don't drive downtown anyway, so I'd have to take the L to begin with. But
right.
It's astronomical even to get down in that area. I mean, McCormick Place and all of the other venues that are all in that area are really expensive because that's essentially the heart of the city. Yeah, everybody says State Street's this very center.
Well, I'm in the heart of the city right here on Michigan Avenue, right at the river.
Exactly. But right there next to the aquarium, the stadium,
planetarium,
Lincoln Park, like it's all right there, and that whole area is just expensive anyway. In fact, the cheapest place you can go to get something to eat is the sushi place. It's crazy.
It's expensive. And on top of it, folks, if you haven't been to my hometown, this fantastic city of Chicago, the tax rate right here in the center of the city, I want to say it's upward towards 12+%. I think it's something to that effect. It's really expensive. But then again, I mean, look, you're in a city, and when you're in the city, you have to pay for all the infrastructure and all the government employees, et cetera, et cetera. But it is a beautiful city, and what a great place to take a tour right down the river, right behind me here. What a glorious, glorious setting. Yeah. You can see we have a
we do all the free stuff when we're downtown. So like we walk around, we get to look at all the architecture. Sometimes we'll follow closely behind a tour group so that we can kind of get a little bit of that tourism, you know. But no, it's a great place to just take a walk. There's a lot of walking tours. There are a lot of just different things to do that if I was going to spend $1,500 to go to, I would much rather do something else in Chicago than I would hope to be pampered in the stadium.
Right, you could stay in one of these fine hotels down here, but I have to say that I'm a little bit confused as to what the goal is from the health side of the NFL, because the NFL, they're letting fans in, right? And then they're talking about really tightening down those restrictions on the players and coaches for not wearing masks. What are we doing here? Why are they even playing these games if they're worried about an alleged pandemic in the first place? If there is such a thing, then why are they playing when the whole world could be infected, right? So they could bring to this one, bring it to that one. Everybody could be infected. Everybody will die.
Because most of the things we hear in the news right now, it's all lip service.
What's really going on?
Well, they're required to say something. It's now in a corporate type of mentality where you have to say something based off of what's happening around you. So you have to say, we're safe. We do everything that we can possibly do. And then they turn around and go, but we're still going to let people come in. Like, it's one of those things. It's that type of lip service is exactly what they are doing. It is in no way actually doing something.
Well, you know, the funny part about it here, as we close the segment out, is that here in this great city, there are scores of, you can see people walking back and forth on the bridge above me here, and the people out on the boats going up and down the river. What a great spot. But the fact is, look, everybody is out. The hotels are full. People are living their lives. I don't want to hear this, oh, everybody is scared. No, they're not scared. Stop it. It has nothing to do with that. It's the fear-mongering from the news channels and all that other crap like that. Folks, get out, go to games, go live your life. We're going to be back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come from downtown Chicago.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. This is Sal Tozolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. Pacific here on AAMP.TV, or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus, so we prove it every day.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-755-4281. 800-755-4281. 800-755-4281. That's 800-755-4281.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus from the AAMP.TV mobile studio here in downtown Chicago, right here on the Riverwalk. That's AAMP.TV. Folks, this segment brought to you in part by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit them online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS NBC Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Las Vegas on KIOF 97.9 FM, as well as our friends over in Atlanta on WDJY 99.1 FM. Big hello to our friends over in Corpus Christi, Texas, on the Houston Astros radio network and the Houston Texans and Houston Rockets radio network. That would be the Eliminated Rockets radio network, as well as those over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That would be the Yankees radio network and the 49ers radio network, as well as the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, that is. And a big welcome in to everybody over in Boston on WBMW. Wow, we're everywhere, folks. Anyway, hello to everybody over on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe when you're watching us, as well as those on Facebook, Twitter, and I think we're on Instagram, and whatever. TheSportsCircus.com, folks. We're everywhere, even in hotels right here in this city and everywhere else around the country. 650,000 rooms from coast to coast. If I continue on, we're already going to have to go to commercial break. Now, I will talk for a moment about the pros for football, about some of the things that did happen yesterday. And one of the biggest debacles here, being in Chicago, needless to say, people are really behind their Bears. They always have been behind the Bears. But the funny part about it was, if you're a Bears fan, that is the Detroit Lions, yet another jaw-dropping loss for the hapless Lions. Just seems to be that way on a regular basis. It doesn't matter who you put on this team. It doesn't matter if you have an all-pro lineup. Somehow they're going to find a way to lose a game. And here, anytime you blow yet another 17-point fourth quarter lead in an avalanche of familiar-looking mistakes, and your head coach is a, quote, I don't coach that stuff, close quote. When he's one of those guys, this was a quote by Yahoo Sports. Now, when he defends his unsightly fourth quarter track record by declaring himself responsible for a Super Bowl interception 6 years ago, it's cause for concern. Now, the offense, of course, had issues yesterday, and not just in the final crucial moments of the fourth quarter. Of the Lions' first 5 possessions, 3 went 3 and out, and the other 2 stalled in the red zone. Now, Kenny Galladay is their star receiver, and he has been replaced because he's injured. Now, I have him on my fantasy team, so, I mean, good news for me that, as a Bears fan, that he didn't play, but bad news from the fantasy football because his rookie replacement caught only 3 of 10 passes that were thrown at him. Yes, only 3 of 10. That was really bad. Oh, and by the way, he never seemed to find any rhythm whatsoever with Matthew Stafford. Now, the Lions, by contrast, have missed field goals, offside penalties, dropped touchdown pass, a careless sack, and forced interception in the final 6 minutes of the game. And you wonder, what in the world are they thinking? It doesn't matter how much money they spend. They're not a good football team, folks. And listen, we're on television in the greater Detroit markets. And I have to tell you, wake up, ownership, because your Lions may be good on paper, but the chemistry is not there. There's something you're not doing in practice because, as we've heard time and time over, you win your games in practice. Maybe it's just that the Lions don't practice right. They don't practice hard enough because a lot of pro football players, even our own Tyrone Poole, 2-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, that guy even says the same thing as everybody else in the NFL that we've had on, friends of mine from the league, both player currently and retire Hall of Famers. They all say the same thing. You win your games in practice. What is it with the Lions? They just can't seem to put it together. They make a lot of mental mistakes, and I happen to believe that's a coaching issue, and that is a locker room issue. It's a culture issue in the locker room. There are a lot of issues. I mean, are they ever going to win another playoff game? I mean, it's been a long time since they won a playoff game, let alone a league championship 60-odd years ago, which didn't really counted. We can't say it didn't count, but I have to tell you, it was before the Super Bowl era. There were less teams and, well, a little less competition, right? So the bigger question lies, what are they doing? What are they doing? Now, you could ask the same thing of the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns have made big steps to rectify, well, their losing tradition. And the Browns have turned it around with some great signings, and they're really trying to do the right thing. And they're shuffling around their coaches. They're doing what they have to do, at least as fast as they can. They've got the big names. They've got the big personalities. Maybe too many big personalities. But you know what else they have? Yes, and some Bears fans may remember this guy, a guy by the name of Cody Parkey. You may remember that guy. He hit the upright 4 times in one game. Cody Parkey, single-handedly, 4 times in one game. The odds of that are astronomical. You know, the Sports Circus is a Las Vegas-based show, and I don't even know what the odds would be to hit the upright 4 times. But now, according to NFL.com, they have indicated that the Browns have signed Cody Parkey off the practice squad. That would spell the end of a 17-game run for Austin Seibert as the Cleveland Browns place clicker. Now, Seibert had a rough week number 1. Of course, he missed a field goal and an extra point in their 38-6 loss. Yes, do your job. Everyone has a job to do, but it wasn't, oh my God, we're down by 4 points, where the extra point would have made it 3 points, and the field goal that was missed would have tied the game. No, they're already down by 32 points. It doesn't matter. Whatever. They lost by 32 nonetheless. At the end of the day, look, Seibert's struggles with an extra point have become a recurring issue according to the powers that be. Now, of course, 5 failed conversions last season. right? Well, that's 5 in how many games? In 16 games. All right. So that's quite a few attempts. But then again, I think they're just looking for a reason to get rid of him, just to bring in Cody Parkey. Maybe they need some paint that needs to be scraped off of the goalposts, and I think they brought Cody Parkey in to do that for them because he seems to be an expert at hitting the goalpost. I'm not really sure, but maybe Cleveland needs to do a little paint scraping on that upright. But Parkey was signed to the Browns practice squad last week, and he was the team's full-time kicker 4 years ago. Now, if he was so good 4 years ago, something tells me they would have hung on to him. Sonar, what do you think? Would they would have hung on to a kicker that was good?
No. Wait. Yes?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. You gave the right answer. It's no, yes. Because the Chicago Bears gave away, or they didn't re-sign, Robbie Gould. And Robbie Gould goes on to superstardom in San Francisco, even though he was already an all-pro kicker. This guy was good. So I think a lot of teams make mistakes with kickers, but are the Browns going down the ladder of success by adding Cody Parkey, who they walked away from 4 years ago? I don't know. That's right. You hear silence because I don't know. Nobody knows. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But here's what does matter. Now, if you look at the odds to win the Super Bowl, yes, there will be a Super Bowl played on February 7th of 2021. And the Chiefs are a favorite, but they're not that big a favorite currently. These are the current odds today. The Chiefs are a plus 450. So you put $100 up and you win $450 back. Seems like a pretty good deal, right? It does, because the price seems to be pretty affordable. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, you put up 100, you win 500. So really the Chiefs are only a very small amount better, according to the odds makers, than the Chiefs. I'm sorry, the Chiefs are a little bit better than the Ravens. Now, I find that remarkably hard to believe. Then the 49ers and the Saints, both that put up 100, you win 1,000. And as I see it, the Saints are a more complete team than the 49ers. But what do I know? I'm only 172-27 against the point spread. That's all I can say about that. Right? All right, so the Seahawks and the Cowboys and the Buccaneers are all at plus 1,200, or you put up $100 and you get $1,200 back. Now let's take a look at what happened with the Buccaneers and the Saints. Now, Tom Brady had a couple of interceptions. We had a couple of turnovers. And the newfound Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Brady and Gronk, they looked very pedestrian. And Sal, the bookmaker, had the Saints with a double-digit victory. They actually had them at 27-17, which the score was just a little bit less. I guess what I'm trying to say here is the Saints are a real team still today. Now, you ask yourself about the Eagles, question mark. The Colts, big question mark. I don't even see them at the same level as the Green Bay Packers. But here's the funny thing. The Chicago Bears are at put up 100, and you win 50 times. They're at 50-1. How in the world, think about this, folks, how could the Falcons, the Titans, well, maybe the Titans, how could the Raiders at 40-1? How could the Buffalo Bills at 30, the Vikings, the Colts at 25? How could the Eagles at 25, Pittsburgh, how could they all be ahead of the Bears when the Bears are a sound defensive team and offensively they showed some semblance of some organization? Tell you what, folks, these odds makers got it wrong. Run out and get your bets out there right now. The Bears at 50-1, it's a steal. The Saints at 10-1, it's a steal. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. This is Sal Tuzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. Pacific here on AAMP.TV, or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-755-4281. 800-755-4281. 800-755-4281. That's 800-755-4281.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from the AAMP.TV mobile studios here in downtown Chicago, right on the Riverwalk. What a glorious view. Folks, check this out. Imagine if you have a chance to help your business. Maybe you want to help yourself at home. So here's an important message to help yourself and help your business at home. For more information on the best high-speed internet, satellite TV, cell phone service, identity protection, home and business security automation, and security, credit card processing for your company, plus savings on electricity and gas for your business and home. Contact safelyspend.com at 702-799-9935. That's for information on smart savings for homes and businesses, 702-799-9935. Or check them out online for more information at safelyspend.com. That's safelyspend.com. I think everybody could use that. Doesn't matter where you're at. Even I think the AAMP.TV mobile bubble, we could use that too. We use a lot of power here. You know that? We use a lot of fuel. That we can't really get away from, right? Just, carting the bubble everywhere. But what about all the energy it takes us? Do you think maybe we should have solar panels on top of the bubble?
I think so. We're working on them. We're getting there over there. The issue is getting solar panels that will last through whatever hail or wind or everything else that the mobile studio is constantly driving through.
Well, and that's the funny thing. I mean, look, we are on a nationwide tour, and we have 17 states scheduled, of which we've already been through a handful of them. But boy, we're going to find ourselves all the way down in, we'll find ourselves over in Pittsburgh. We're going to find ourselves in West Virginia, in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. We're going to find ourselves down in Alabama. Boy, we're going to be everywhere. I'll tell you what, this is fun. I like the fact that we get to move the bubble around from spot to spot. It's funny when people drive by us, they look at this thing like, what the hell is that? Some kind of a spaceship, because we have to have the bubble protected by an outer layer. And the funny thing is, people are like, hey, can you tell me what that is? I can't understand what that thing is. I've already heard that one 5 or 6 times. Well, guess what, folks? The Mobile Bubble is down here at the Riverwalk in Chicago. Beautiful, beautiful city. Great place. My hometown. Happy to be here. And in fact, I get to get my favorite pizza, Italian beef sandwiches, Italian ice, and cannolis. A big round of applause for all of those that know what the heck I'm talking about. And for those that don't, well, guess what? I can't help you with that. All right. Fantasy football. So now I know you and I, we play fantasy football like a lot of other people do. A lot of other listeners, and people bet on fantasy football too, right? And so you were just telling me that the Minnesota Vikings had an awful game for turnovers. And of course, that was against Green Bay. And Green Bay, their defense, which I almost picked their defense literally 4 days ago. I had a chance to pick them up, but I ended up going with a more consistent and sound pick, which was the Tennessee Titans. I think a lot of people would agree on that. Although the Packers defense was pretty good last year. How many turnovers did Minnesota have?
Well, here's the thing: is in that same vein that you had was, yeah, you should have picked Minnesota to be a contender for your defense, because here we go, lay down some knowledge. The Vikings defense forced 13 turnovers in the last 4 weeks of the 2019 season. They were on fire. And then all of a sudden, Green Bay decided, you know what? We're just going to walk in 43 points.
Wow.
It's like they didn't even show up.
Minnesota defense. I dropped the Minnesota defense. My backup quarterback is Kirk Cousins. Drew Brees is my starting quarterback. And I didn't want to start Kirk Cousins because I'm thinking, that's a border war between Minnesota and Wisconsin, right? I mean, those two, the distance between Green Bay and Minneapolis is just a few-hour drive for those that don't know. And so I'm thinking, they normally play pretty tough games. I'm going to stay off of that one, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the Tennessee defense in because they're very consistent. I believe a lot of people would say that. You know what you're going to get with them. Right?
And that's what you need in fantasy. Yeah. Right there is you've nailed it. That is the secret formula for fantasy football is consistency. And if you can get your core group to be consistent, so like almost every single year, Matty Ice is on my team. He's there because he's consistent. Even if he has a bad day, he's only 2-3 points under what he should have been. But the other thing is if he has a good day, he's only 3 or 4 points above where he should be. He doesn't have a blowout day, but he's consistent. He's a guarantee in my league. He's a guaranteed upwards of 30 points or so for my quarterback in that area.
Well, he's been around I think Matt Ryan's been, this is 14th season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, so he knows how to be a quarterback. I mean, that's it. Yeah. You want to find position players. You don't want to find people that are transitioning from one side to the other or jumping teams or anything like that. That's why Matt Ryan is always at the top of my list of quarterbacks. I mean, I don't grab him right off the bat, but if he's available in the 4th, 5th round, somewhere around there, which he might very easily get to when we're picking quarterbacks in a quarterback-heavy type of league, I usually grab him, even if it's just as a backup. If I can get Tom Brady, sure, boom, right off the bat. But Matty Ice will always get you consecutive points or consistent.
Well, even in
points.
Yesterday's loss to the Raiders, and that would be the Las Vegas Raiders now, of course. A little bit of laughter there just because Las Vegas Raiders, and I live in Las Vegas. We are based in Las Vegas, but to me it sounds a little bit oddball, but it is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. But still, the Atlanta Falcons played well enough. They scored 30 points. I mean, usually if you score 30 points in the NFL, that ought to be enough to win a game. That's what I would think. But it doesn't really matter. I guess my point is the consistency with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Look, that combination's been together forever. Imagine if they had maybe a little bit of defense. And offensively, 30 is certainly good enough to win almost any game in the NFL, unless maybe you're playing, the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And the Chiefs just seem to score 30 plus every game. It doesn't matter. I sort of feel a little bit bad for the Houston Texans. And of course, we're on the Texans radio network down in South Texas. And I scratch my head and say, all right, you've got some good defenders on that team. You have plenty of offense led by Deshaun Watson. You've got some really good players there. But I guess the bigger question is, why in the world, if I'm not mistaken, would DeAndre Hopkins be allowed to go from Team X to Team Y, if that is the case? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know this for sure. It's just I've got a mental slip up here. If I'm not mistaken, DeAndre Hopkins now plays for the Arizona Cardinals.
Could very well be. He's not on my fantasy football list. But
I believe that's the case. In fact, while we're talking here, I'm going to look at. I'm fairly certain he does.
To talk a little bit about the Chiefs have a different type of strategy. Their strategy has always been score more points than the other guy and we win. Not to the point where it's let's stop them from scoring more points or let's actively try to get the ball back. For the most part, the Chiefs' defense is hold on to the ball long enough to let our offense rest and then come back and run that 2-minute drill or shove the ball back down their throats. I mean, that's always been just the Chiefs' MO to begin with. And that's where you want to have your explosive offense anyway. But my issue is they have so many weapons that it's hard to pick a few that you're actually going to get any real points out of. It's like picking a let's see here, a Green Bay wide receiver. They spread the ball so many different ways, and sometimes their wide receiver 1 is wide receiver 3 next week. So you can't really go after them. But if you have a linchpin like your quarterback, who is in every single play, or your tight end, which is in every third play or every fourth play, now you might have a offense that you're able to actually pick and choose things out of. But for the most part, I stay away from those big, heavy offense because they have too many weapons.
Right. Well, Hopkins he did sign with the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals did get themselves a win yesterday over those 49ers. You know, people say, oh, the 49ers. And for all you people over in Honolulu listening on the 49ers radio network, listen, they're good, but they're not that good. Because if they were that good, number one, they wouldn't be losing games that they should win. And if you look at last year, what they did, listen, a lot of those games, they were tight games, very, very tight games. And if you're a good squad, yes, you're going to win close games, but every game seemed to be close. Every game was a field goal, last second possession, whatever. The last possession seemed to win the game, which I think is great for the morale of the team that you can come back and win. Problem is they were trailing in many of those games. And so now you take a Houston squad that has a lot of weapons, but then they allow Watkins to go over to Arizona. Guess what? That just makes the Arizona Cardinals a hell of a lot better now. And what did that do for the Houston Texans? I think the Houston Texans, they have a lot of work to do, a lot of explaining to do, especially after week number 1. They should have, in my opinion, they should have played better than what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs. But they didn't. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, they were even booed by the fans. Yes, they were booed by the fans locally. And it was both the home team and the visitors were both booed. Folks, back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere. And that's for you, the fans in Kansas City. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. This is Sal Tuzolino, host and Ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. Pacific here on AAMP.TV or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day. So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AAMP.TV mobile studios here in downtown Chicago along the Riverwalk. Yes, downtown Chicago. What a beautiful day. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our podcast. Also, check out some of our partners as well. One of them right here in Chicago, Al's Beef over on Taylor Street. Check them out, folks. If you know anything about local food in Chicagoland, one of the favorites here is an Italian beef sandwich, very different than the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. One is cooking versus one is slopping stuff together. The Philly cheesesteak, let me tell you something, folks. You can make that in 5 minutes at home. But the Italian beef sandwich, to make the beef alone, it takes 20 hours to prepare it. It's fantastic. Check them out, Al's Beef over on Taylor Street, and make sure you tell them that Sal from the Sports Circus eats there too. All righty. Big welcome into everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports Report, iHeartRadio, Spotify, those watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe, as well as those at thesportscircus.com and hotels from coast to coast, and also as well as Facebook. Thanks for joining us. Going to jump into a little bit of hockey real quick. Now, the Eastern Conference Finals, it's looking like the Tampa Bay Lightning are just running all over, or better yet, skating all over the New York Islanders. And the Islanders are a good squad. They're coached well. They're very, very balanced. But boy, those Lightning guys, they are good. They are really good. So guess what? The Lightning are up 3-1, marching their way towards the Stanley Cup Finals. And it appears, so far, our home team back in Las Vegas, where the Sports Circus is based, the Vegas Golden Knights are down 3-1 to a big and heavy Dallas Stars team. And Sal the bookmaker had given away that pick as the Dallas Stars representing the Western Conference. This was about a month ago, representing the Dallas Stars represent the Western Conference Finals and going into the Stanley Cup Finals. And tell you what, right now they're looking really good at 3-1. And what they've done, you may remember if you're a Vegas Golden Knights fan, or if you watched the Stanley Cup Finals a couple of years ago when it was Washington against Vegas, the Capitals actually forced the Vegas Golden Knights outside the dots, the face-off dots. So they were shooting the puck from outside at really sharp angles. And the Washington Capitals would not give Vegas any room in the slot where the two circles sort of meet, but they don't meet. There's kind of that area there. It's maybe a few feet. The point is, you don't see shots from head on, for the most part, from the Vegas Golden Knights. And this is probably the central problem for them because they're getting pushed around and forced to the outside. And the shots they're taking, they're basically one shot and done. The old one and done, we've heard about that in NCAA basketball. But this is the one and done version in hockey. And the shots they're getting are not very good against a very good goaltender duo in Dallas between Khudobin and Ben Bishop. These guys are good. And you've got a merry-go-round, but then you have a drama-go-round in Las Vegas between Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury. Actually, it's not between those guys, but those guys, they don't make the call of who starts. This is more of a Kelly McCrimmon problem. This is not really a Peter DeBoer problem either. But you have no consistency, and I think there's a lot of dissension on the Vegas Golden Knights side, and this is why they're just not playing as good as they ought to, because pound for pound, on paper, Vegas actually is a better squad. But Dallas is bigger, heavier, they're rested. These guys are good, and they win one-goal games. They win the low-scoring games. Vegas wins the shootouts. I have to tell you, to me, as I saw it, Dallas was a clear-cut victor in this series before it even started. And right now, Vegas, to come back, they're at a plus 625. So you could bet it right now. You could bet $100 on the Vegas Golden Knights coming back and win $625 in return. And even with Dallas, this is a good thing. You could bet Dallas $100. Listen to this. You could actually bet, this is advice from Sal the Bookmaker. You could bet $100, talk about free money, $100 on Dallas to win the Western Conference Finals, and you could bet, or better yet, to win the Stanley Cup, and you could bet the Vegas Golden Knights, and if either one of those two win, you got yourself a winner anyway, because the Tampa Bay Lightning are the only ones that are favorites at minus 130. You got to put up $130 to win 100. And of course, the New York Islanders, if you're really daring, they're at 34-1. But Vegas is in big trouble. I have to tell you, it's not looking good for the Vegas Golden Knights, but we're not giving up on them. It's just a very, very tough road and tough sledding for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, shifting into baseball, right here in Chicago, we have had our second no-hitter of the 2020 season. A big round of applause for baseball in Chicago. Yes, I'm even allowing the Cubs to be a part of that applause. Now, putting the NBC News right here in Chicago, in what has been a year full of unprecedented events, the sports world has seen plenty of history of its own. And the Chicago Cubs and White Sox have now teamed up to do something the clubs have never done before. Earlier this season, actually just a few weeks back, White Sox pitcher Lucas Giolito tossed a no-hitter against the Pittsburgh Pirates, turning in one of the most dominant pitching performances in team history. Now, just yesterday, Cubs pitcher Alec Mills joined the no-hitter club too, blanking the Milwaukee Brewers and earning the Cubs a blowout victory of 12-0. That's crazy. Big round of applause for a no-hitter. Not for a Cubs victory, but for a no-hitter. Incredible. While the White Sox have an American League record 19 no-hitters since 1901. Imagine that. A team you wouldn't necessarily think, maybe you think the Yankees or Red Sox or something to that effect. No, it's the White Sox who lead the world in the American League nonetheless. With 19 no-hitters since 1901. They've been playing baseball for 119 years on the south side of Chicago. And now the Cubs have 16 thanks to Alec Mills' heroics. The two teams have never thrown no-hitters in the same season until now. That's pretty damn exciting. Now, according to Major League Baseball stats team, 2020 is the first year ever that the Cubs and White Sox have done that, and that was verified, of course, by MLB. So not just NBC News Chicago, but that's also by Major League Baseball. Again, another big round of applause for pitching in the state of Chicago. Very exciting. So, everybody knows Joe West in baseball. Joe West being the crew chief, he is the top dog in the umpire world in baseball. Now, recently, the Washington Nationals general manager Mike Rizzo was ejected from their 10-3 loss to the Atlanta Braves. Now, umpire Joe West and his crew weren't happy with him. Now, during the 7th inning of that game, while Rizzo was watching from the upper deck of the stadium, umpire Hunter Wintelstead suddenly could be heard on the broadcast saying, "You're out!" while pointing up towards the stands. He then asked for security to be called before the cameras turned to Rizzo, who was seen standing alone and not wearing a mask in a section of the stadium. Now, Rizzo, West said, had been yelling at umpires from his suite, saying things like, "You're brutal!" Now, because of the COVID-19 alleged pandemic and the lack of fans in the stadium, everything could be heard down on the field from Rizzo. Quote, "I wouldn't take that from a player. I wouldn't take that from a manager," West said to the Associated Press. Quote, "If Donald Trump said the same, I'd eject him too, but I'd still vote for him." That's what Joe West said. Close quote anyway. All right, so microphones picked up someone in the Braves dugout saying that Rizzo, quote, "doesn't have a mask on," close quote. Though the masks are required due to the coronavirus pandemic, and Rizzo should have been wearing one, every shot of him on the broadcast showed he was alone in his section. Mind you, not just his suite, but the section, just watching the game. Now, many speculated that West had ejected Rizzo for not wearing a mask, which would have been extremely hypocritical, as West is on record for being skeptical about the alleged coronavirus and wasn't wearing his mask correctly down on the field as well. A big round of boos for Joe West on that. I mean, come on, we have rules here, folks. Now, if this, quote, "if this game hasn't gotten me by now, no virus is going to get me," close quote, Joe had said. Now, he continued, "I weathered a bunch of storms in my life. I'll weather another one," close quote. Now, Major League Baseball has started an inquiry into the incident with Rizzo, which signed a 3-year extension with the organization just recently. Quote, "We have already been in communication with the Nationals regarding what transpired during the game, and we will speak with the umpiring crew," close quote. Major League Baseball said that in a statement to the Associated Press. They also continued on with, "We will expect Joe West crew to provide full accountability of their perspective, and we'll follow up with them accordingly," close quote. That just sounds like lip service to me. I don't think anything's going to happen there. But you know what did happen? Now we're going to continue on with those Atlanta Braves. Now, recently, the Atlanta Braves made history after being shut out by Sixto Sanchez and 4 Marlin relievers. And the day before, the Braves bounced back and dropped 29 on the Marlins. 29! That's unbelievable. Now, imagine 29. So you take 29. That means they're scoring over 3 runs an inning, right, in a 9-inning game. Now, Atlanta reached the magic number, being 29. In a 7th inning, though. It took 7 innings to score 29 on a grand slam, yet his 3rd home run of the game. That was by Adam Duvall. Look, the overall Major League Baseball record for the most runs scored by one team in a single game is 36, and that was by none other than the Chicago Colts in 1897. The Chicago Colts, 1897. The Texas Rangers, all those in what really 6 innings. The onslaught began with an 11-run second inning, which was capped, of course, by back-to-back home runs by Duvall and Albies. Now, overall, the Braves hit 7 home runs in the game, scored at least 3 runs in 5 different innings. Duvall led the charge with his 3 home runs and 9 RBIs in one game, which is the highest total by a Braves hitter in 54 years. That's crazy. Now, the Brewers scored 19 runs recently, and the Braves scored 29, but that's 48 runs total. Think about this. The most combined runs in a 2-day run by 2 teams in different games since 1891. Now, the Brewers, a different franchise that is, scored 30, and the Bean Eaters now are the Braves, of course, originally from Boston, scored 18. Now, Jordan Yamamoto, just the third reliever in baseball history since 1901 to pitch fewer than 3 innings and allow at least 13 runs. That's unbelievable. You can't even imagine that. I mean, you can't script that. Now, Vin Mazzaro back in 2011 and Hugh Canavan in 1918 are the others. Big numbers. All right, talk about big number. Albert Pujols hits number 660, which puts him at a tie with Willie Mays for the home run count. And, of course, Willie played in the dead ball era and Pujols in, of course, the juice ball era. And it took 9 seasons for Pujols to hit 215 home runs in the Angels organization, while he hit 445 in 11 seasons in St. Louis. Tell you what, folks, that's going to do it for the Sports Circus. We have so much baseball. We could go on forever with this. We're going to save it for next time, folks. Signing off here from downtown Chicago, I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone. Stay tuned for Astros baseball.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119